Amen. But I want to read today this section from the book of Job, chapter 23, and then I want to read from the first verse. Let's stand together for the reading of the Word of God. Then Job answered and said, "Even today is my complaint bitter. My stroke is heavier than my groaning. Oh, that I knew where I might find him, that I might come even to his seat. I would order my cause before him and fill my mouth with arguments. I would know the words that he would answer me and understand what he would say unto me. Will he plead with me against me with his great power? No, but he would put strength in me. There the righteous might dispute with him, so should I be delivered forever from my judge. Behold, I go forward, he is not there, and backward, but I cannot perceive him. On the left hand where he doth work, but I cannot behold him. He hideth himself on the right hand, that I cannot see him. But he knoweth the way that I take. When he has tried me, I shall come forth as gold. My feet have held his steps. His way have I kept and not declined. Neither have I gone back from the commandment of his lips. I have esteemed the words of his mouth more than my necessary food. But he is in one mind, and who can turn him? And what his soul desireth, even that he doeth. For he performeth the thing that is appointed for me, and many such things are with him." Amen. God bless you today. You may be seated. Amen. I want to preach this afternoon, or this morning yet, I want to preach, just wait till God shows up. Just wait till God shows up. Sometimes we don't know where God is. Job said, "I don't know where God is. In anything that I'm facing, I don't know where God is at all. It doesn't seem like he is in my circumstance at all." There are times in our life when it seems that we're all alone in our circumstance. We wonder where God is in anything or in everything around us. Maybe we wonder if God is in anything around us because we cannot see where we are, and because we do not know what it is that we face, we are not able to judge God fairly. I thought this morning, God, his promise is that where two or three gathered in our midst, there he is in our midst. If we gather together, God is always there. And Job was just like that. Seldom has anyone ever suffered loss like Job did. Sometimes we may be inclined to think that Job's story is just too exaggerated to be true. Talk about Job poor as Job's turkey, whatever. We talk about the things that Job suffered. It's just too strange. It's like a fable or something. But it wasn't. Job was not an evil man. Scripture declares that he was perfect and upright. The Bible said he feared God and hated evil. It's one thing to have man testify about you, but it's another thing when God begins to testify about you. It's another thing when God begins to speak in your behalf. That is an awesome. I want God to testify of me. I want him to be able to say, "Well done." I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, you're a wonderful man. You're a good man. You and your wife have just been precious people." That's not important. But the thing that I really want to hear, I want to hear him say, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a few things. I'll make you ruler." I'm not sure about the other, make you ruler over many. I've never been really impressed by that too much, but God's going to have some good things, great things in store for us. I thought sometimes, what will it be when we see him for the first time? Some says, "I'll know him by the nail prints in his hands." I don't really think that we're going to need to get close enough to see the nail prints in his hands. I know Thomas one time said, "Except I see the prints in your hands and put my hand on the wound in your side, I will not believe." I think when Jesus Christ spoke to Thomas, I don't think he had to feel the prints in the nails. I don't think he had to feel the wound in his side. I think that there's something about when he spoke to him. I think he recognized. He said, "My God, my Lord." The scripture said, "The Lord of me and the God of me," and he is everything to us. And I think, on the other side, I don't think I have to say, where is the prince and where's the wound in your side? The Bible said when John saw him, he fell at his feet as dead.
Yes,
he fell before him. The glory and the greatness of God was manifest in the presence of the Lord. The Bible said God said he feared God, he hated evil. He had a family, he had a wife, he had 7 sons and 3 daughters. He was a wealthy man in land, in sheep, cattle, oxen, and donkeys. He had many servants. He was not about the greatest. He was not reckoned among the greatest. He was the greatest of all men. The Bible, Jesus Christ, or the Lord said, he was the greatest of all men in the East. In other words, he was the Bill Gates. He was the man who had the money, a wealthy man, a man of influence. The Bible said that man came to him for counsel because of the wisdom that he had, the wealth that he had, and so on. I heard about a man some years ago who walked onto the sales floor of the stock market. And he asked the man, he said, I can't remember exactly the man's name now, but he was a wealthy, wealthy man. And he said, would you help me to be a success in the stock market? And the man said, he didn't say anything to him. He just said, come with me. And together they walked around the whole perimeter of the stock market. They got back in, walked into the office and sat down. And the young man said, where, you didn't say anything to me. You didn't tell me anything. He said, anytime anybody sees you walking with me, that's all the influence that you need. Amen. Because of the influence of this great man of means. And I thought, if we can just learn to walk with God on a daily basis, some things you don't have to say, it is a witness to the fact that God is in your presence. The Bible said he was a praying man. Not only was he a good man, but the Bible said he was a praying man. He loved his kids. From time to time, the Bible said his children gathered together in times of feasting. He was concerned about their relationship with God. He worried that perhaps his sons had sinned and cursed God in their hearts. And so the early morning hours found Job in the place of worship. Not a house of worship, but an altar of worship. Offered sacrifice for each of them. He prayed for them. I don't know what their names were, but I thought, let's give them names. There was David and Samuel. There was Micah and Daniel. There was Reuben and Benjamin and Joash. There was Deborah and Mary and Rebekah. And so the father was praying for each one of his children. He began to call them by names. I thought, I remember during the years of our life growing up with our kids, sometimes they'd be in bed sleeping. We just walk into the door, stand by their bed and pray for them to sleep. They didn't know we were there praying, but we prayed and we called their names before the Lord and asked the Lord to watch over them. There was the Father praying for each one of them. Morning by morning was the same. They may not have asked for his prayers. They may not even wanted his prayers. Amen. But Job was so concerned about them and the relationship with God. He was a subject of interest between God and the devil. And so when God brought the subject of Job, have you noticed that my servant Job? And he said, he is a righteous man. He loves me. He serves me. And the devil said, does Job serve you for naught? Because Job was a servant of God. He was a target of the devil. Anytime you begin to walk with God, I'm telling you, there's times of temptations that come in your life. The things the devil will come against you with, they're temptations he will put in your path. Other people that will bring ridicule perhaps for the way you walk with God. And Job said, or the devil said, you built a hedge around him. The devil knew some things about Job that he told God. He said, you built a hedge around him. That's why I can't get to him. You got a wall of protection around him. I can't get to him. And he said, you bless the work of his hands. Amen. You say his substance is increased in the land. He's a man. You bless what he does. You bless the work of his hands. You bless his family, his children. And God said, or the devil said, if you put forth your hand and touch all that he has, remove your blessing from him, and he will curse you to your face. And God said, I won't do that, but you can. I won't touch him. I won't do that, but I'll let you do it. You can touch all that he has, but you leave him alone. You cannot touch him. And the devil moved against Job, and God stood back as an observer, confident and sure of what Job's relationship with God was. Job had left prayer meeting that morning. Amen. And he had no idea about the news. It was going to come that way, his way. I said there was messengers that came and said there was fire from heaven that fell and this morning. He said, your sheep, your servants are gone. The second message came, enemies have come and everything you have is gone. And Job had just left a prayer meeting that morning when messengers began to come on the run. Your camels, sheep, oxen, donkeys are gone. Your servants are dead. Enemies have come. The fire of God has fallen. The final blow came. A great wind from the wilderness has come against your son's home, and it's gone. Your children are all dead. And Job was shaken. You know he was. He was shaken. The Bible said, I saw one time a family that was coming up from South Dakota into North Dakota. They were coming. They were an oil family, traveling up to meet their parents. And on the way, there was an accident. They had a head-on collision, and the dad and one of the sons, well, actually, the dad, the mom, and the child that they had were all killed in that crash. And they had a funeral. We went there, and the Waitman family, they had a funeral for the three of them. They had the wife in one casket, or the dad was in one casket, and the mother and the little boy was in another casket. And they had the little boy laying in the mother's arms. It was a tragic, tragic situation. A whole family wiped out just like that. It was gone. And the sorrow of that family in North Dakota, the mom and the dad of these kids. And it was tragic. But can you imagine 7 sons and 3 daughters, and at one time, all of them wiped out. He had just come from a prayer meeting, and he's gone. You know, what can I say? I just come from prayer for them. No doubt his hands were still marred from the blood of the sacrifice that he had just offered for them on an altar. Amen. Unknown and unseen by Job that day were 2 observers. I think one was God, that was the God that Job served, and the other was the devil. What they witnessed that day was written for every generation to read and be astonished about. Job arose. The Bible said he took his mantle off. He shaved his head, and the devil must have watched with glee, an apparent angry, emotional reaction on Job's part. But Job said what he did was beyond words. The Bible said he fell upon the ground and worshiped God. Yes. And he said, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. You know, sometimes you don't understand some things. Had a family, brother and sister Emily in North Dakota had lost a child, and their son they were in the church, but their son was not. And he was driving a drunk driver. He came around the curve by the fairgrounds, hit a tree, and the man that was riding with their son was killed in that accident.